Yeah, see that I don't like. Oh, there we go. Uh, late start today. All right. So interesting overnight action. So we started climbing. Hey, what's up, Aram? I don't know, man. I'm tired this morning. Overslept. Phone was on silent, so my alarm didn't go off. Don't have a lot of red on my screen here today, which is encouraging. Actually, pretty encouraging. Um, yeah, not bad. Leading stocks doing pretty good things. MJ looks like it's trying to come out of its little consolidation over the past week or so. We've got Eli Lilly. Bad day yesterday. The drug trial may have a little bit more downside pressure than originally, from what it looked like. The volume yesterday was pretty big as well. Starting to see some distribution, something we actually haven't seen in Lilly in a while. Not since over here. So we'll see how that holds up. Um, I think probably the best thing coming out so far today is that the marijuana sector looks like it's getting a little bit of interest, which is important. See volume today already registering on my chart, which generally is not the case early in the morning. So the gap up in the futures, this is the NASDAQ futures closed here, opened here. Hold on a second. All right, sorry. Mother-in-law's taking another kid to school today. Lori, good morning. Good morning. Um, yeah, so good little market bounce this morning. We'll see if it holds up. I mean, so far since our follow-through day here on the Nasdaq, you can see there's no major downtrends. 10 days holding us up, still above the 50 days, so things are pretty good here in the hood. Things are good in the hood. And you can see right there, we really haven't. I don't think we've closed above the 10-day here or below the 10-day on the futures. Right there, 6654. So things are going well. Things are going well. You hear a lot of news about global slowdown, you hear a lot of news about this and that, but so far, and now my 4-year-old wakes up. Horrible time for streaming. Yes, James. Hold on, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. Holding my 4-year-old. He's pretty cry today, but he's going to sit and be quiet. All right, so CGC EDU, looks like Twitter's up here 4%. So that's a nice turnaround for Twitter. That's really nice. We got Micron yesterday, which was up a bunch, now up 3% again today. Looks like pulling back some. Seems logical after a large gap up. What else do we have? Things are moving fast this morning, so my clicks have to be faster. Hertz Quad U, still living lower, not really interested in that one yet. Data tightening up here on the right-hand side of this chart, not looking too bad. A little bit of a trend line right there, sitting here towards all-time highs. That could wait to break out. What do you mean, Aram? I'm not quite sure. Trading opportunities. Yeah, so lots of gyrations here this morning. Got ACB moving about, kind of all over the place. I don't run external funds if that's what you're referring to. Square. So Square had a gangbusters day yesterday. It's just a great day yesterday on Square. I was up 6+%, huge volume. I mean, this is really what you want to see coming out of lows. You guys want to know what you want to see out of a stock that's been at lows. You know how I talked to you guys about increasing volume. On the right side of the low, this is what you want to see. Ideally a little better volume, but I'll take this. This is good. This is pretty good right here on Square. So really enjoying this price action. Team popped up towards the bottom of my screen here. Looks like it's retaken the breakout point a little bit. Volume's been pretty healthy on those two up days. Yesterday was kind of a muted day. You see volume was light. So that's a good test day. And then we got Goose, INS, Paycom. Where are you going, James? Okay. You turn the light on? Hit the yellow button on the remote. Oh, yellow, buddy, not blue. Let me see it. All right, so VMW with a nice little pattern here. I don't mind this. This is a little mini bull flag. Not really a cup with handle, not a traditional one. Yeah, today's horrible. At least for my stream. A lot of stuff going on. Waking up late. Wife left early. James is waking up screaming. Sounds like a Tuesday. Twitter. CGC. What else, man? MJ up. Looks like it's pulling in a little bit. So let's look at the NASDAQ for a minute. I want to look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has a long way to go. Has a nice long way to go. A lot of price action is going to happen until we hit this all-time high again. About 14% from here. About 14%. That is a lot of price action. That's quite a bit of price action. At least we're holding up here towards these highs. We talked about this the other day about things, spiking lower immediately after making highs. A little bit different now. A little different. So nice powerful bottom. We shot right out of it. Didn't really come back. We haven't gotten any kind of pullback yet. I'm anticipating we won't get a pullback, as a matter of fact. EZPN. I was looking at Roku yesterday. Didn't make any purchases, but I was looking at it. Was trying to do an early breakout from its flag pattern here. above the 10-day coming up. I'm sorry, above the 50-day. That's the 50-day. There's the 10-day. Being supportive, increasing volume on the updates. So doing pretty good, doing some things right. We are kind of resting here a little bit. I would anticipate this to happen and continue for a little bit. So if you don't have any positions from this prior little run, I don't know if I'd be a little tepid with taking new positions. Let's see what Tesla's doing. Let's just see just a really, really good setup. Tesla had a green yesterday. Okay, so that's good. Although volume was pretty light. Hold on a second. And then today in Tesla, so far we're hanging out here towards the highs. Sub 300 could be a good place to buy Tesla. We'll see what earnings happens in a couple next week, next Wednesday. All right, CGC still topping the list today, 7%. We got Weibo, Hertz, Twitter up 4. Micron almost up 4. Micron basically up 4. Micron also displaying good characteristics out of lows. Lack of selling, some increased buying pops here. We talked about Micron a lot yesterday. Closed a little below that trend line, gapping above it today. We'll see how it closes the day today. But so far, so good for Micron. Goose back up after a pretty bad day yesterday. Okay, looks like there was quite a bit of buying towards the end of the day. You had it closed in the middle part of the range, very high volume. That could be a bottom. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I think your better buy point now on Goose would be over this prior high here, and the high of this one is about 52.18. So that would be your buy point there. We're looking at IQ for a little bit. It has broken its trend line, working the way out of the trend line, pulled back, and then rounded right back higher. So that's a little bit of bullish sentiment in IQ. And Huya right there with it. So pull back, and here's another base in Huya. Now these aren't traditional bases. These are small little bases. You could have a purchase there at about 20 something. Was it 20.93, 20.98, 21 bucks? Could have purchased at about 21 bucks on Huya. Things are looking okay there. Wish the volume was a little heavier. That I do think could improve in Huya, but we'll see. Maybe get the volume lifting as we go through this trend line. If you don't get volume lifting as you go through the trend line, probably have to avoid it. But Huya had a really big run here out of its IPO. IPO'd at about 17, 16, moved up to 50 in about 5 weeks. I can count those candles by eye, 5 weeks. Pull back all the way back to the IPO price, maybe reloading for a second run at some point. But Huya not looking super bad here. Yeah, looking pretty good. And the Nasdaq showing up a little bit. You can see they don't want to sell this market at this stage of the game. We've seen a lot of choppy days now. We've seen some downside action get all bought up, and then choppy, and then a little bit of just not selling off. Even when we've sold off, it hasn't been that aggressive. This obviously was an aggressive red day. This was a distribution day right there, no doubt. But even on that distribution day, towards the end of the day, we had several high volume candles which took up a decent part of this volume above here, probably most of it, at least half of it. But there was quite a bit of distribution that day. But We reversed that right around so far. We haven't broken the high of that day, but we'll see if that's going to happen today or how that plays out. And what's down in the dumps? AMRN looks like it's down up 2.25%. Still consolidating in a little bull flag pattern, so I don't mind that whatsoever. I do mind the fact that I can't draw my trend line. So a little bull flag there. That's not looking bad. You see on the weekly, this thing had a huge gap up, huge move, and came all the way back down. Didn't even fill the gap. This gap may never be filled the way this is looking right now. This gap may never be filled. But it looks pretty good. There's another one with a similar... Let me look at my... Okay, my other watch list. We looked at this one yesterday. I just can't... It starts with an N. Can't think of the name. Yes, James? Nothing. Okay. NBEV. There we go. So NBEV, also an interesting little stock here. So it's a low dollar stock. Not quite a penny stock, but it's pretty low in terms of all metrics. You've got low prices, volumes. Actually, volume's pretty high. They must have a really high float for how small they are. Look it up. 77 million shares outstanding, 52 million float. So not too bad. Actually, that's not bad. That's not too bad. I wish it were lower for a $10 stock or $7 stock, $6 stock, but it is what it is. But definitely in this larger pattern here, floated all the way back down again to the IPO point here in 2016, and then bounced higher, looking pretty good. Insiders on 25%. Sales past 5 years, 127%. And this is an MJ play as well. So cannabis beverages. Colorado and Utah-based organic and natural beverages company determined to lead healthy beverage industry. They'd signed an agreement to develop and distribute Marley brand cannabis-infused beverages. Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and Michigan, where cannabis is legal for responsible adult consumption. So early, trying to get an early edge there on some cannabis drinks, it looks like. Could be a good longer-term hold depending on how the industry plays out. You'll have to keep apprised on these. I use a story of I invested in a streaming service way back. I mean way back, like 2000, 2001 or something. It didn't work out, and I was kind of jaded by that and didn't jump on Netflix at all. So I held that one for a few years, as a matter of fact. Netflix was making headway, but I didn't really view it as that important, I guess, and I was completely wrong. But NBEV looking pretty good here from the chart and from a volume perspective. Not a ton of distribution. You can see all the way through this daily chart. Just lots of green pops and slowly marching higher. So NBEV at 655. Maybe one day you'll see it at $60. I don't see that as out of the realm of possibility. I mean, its market cap's only 500 million, so that would give it a 5 billion market cap, which would be viable if MJ was legalized everywhere and they ended up having beverages in every state. I could see that being viable. All right, so today's Friday. We'll see how the day ends up today. So, I mean, so far so good. Looks like we came all the way back to highs. Yeah, right back up there. Looking pretty good. No major pullbacks here yet at all. Just a couple There's one little ding on the chart right there. That's about it. Twitter coming back, which is really nice. Really, really nice. Earnings are 2.7. So that's in about 2 weeks. Just under 2 weeks, 2 Thursdays from now. Twitter has some earnings, and we'll see how that does. Goose, Weibo. Take a look at Starbucks. Starbucks was looking pretty healthy. Looking good up here. Looking good. Starbucks actually overtaking a longer term trend line here on the weekly chart. And you can see we're consolidating above it, which is ideal. That's really what you want to see. Looks like this trend line has been broken fairly definitively today. Yesterday, okay, looks like yesterday was earnings on Starbucks. They beat earnings, sold off, actually opened flat, sold off and came back. Now they're going higher after that. So I would view that as probably bullish for Starbucks, to be honest with you. Let me see if there's a trade here. So this looks like it would be a first stage base, 1, 2, definitely over 5 weeks, and it counts as a flat base. So your buy point here on Starbucks would be 69.08. That would be your technical buy area for this base. And 20% target is kind of a conservative target that I like to use for stocks. Let's call $82. Be a little more, still be conservative. So there's a possible 20% out of a first stage flat base for Starbucks. And that's not looking bad. Something's not right here. There's no way. No way. No way. Oh, wow, that's really good. All right, I got to look at the Starbucks trade. This looks really good. All right, let's look at the Starbucks, see what's going on with them, see fundamentally what they're doing. Starbucks does look really good right here, though. So one thing about the markets, you constantly have to scan the charts. Constantly. You're on a hunt. You're on the prowl for something. Starbucks has a 97 composite ranking, so it's fundamentally and technically better than 97. Oh, wow, this looks really good. I may have to buy me some Starbucks. Yes, James? Yeah, the chair? Yeah, for sure. A lot of papers. I thought I asked you to pick these up. You're welcome. All right. Starbucks, one of my favorite ones right now. Gotta be honest with you. Looks really good. So let's do that. All right, Nasdaq looks like it's edging higher right now, guys. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's edging higher. I'm really liking this Starbucks chart. It's got to be honest with you. Looks really good. Earnings topped estimates, 97% composite, 91% rating on in terms of its technical action. So it's looking very excellent. INSG coming back today about 2%. And Starbucks with a reaction on earnings yesterday. Let's go to Starbucks yesterday. Oh, look at that. They were aftermarket yesterday, so this is brand new, and they're rising on this news. So they went lower initially. For whatever reason, they dropped before the earnings announcement. I don't think it was pre-announced. Right there, they dropped before the announcement, and then they came right back up, and then they've been holding up higher. See if this can get over this high of the day here in Starbucks, and that probably could be a buy. It's a premature buy, so let's go full disclosure on this chart here. So first of all, it's consolidated for several years now. It's making a base outside of this weekly chart, which is healthy. It's very healthy action. It's broken into new highs. New highs. I don't see any highs in my weekly chart at this level. Broken into new highs after multi-year consolidation. A little test up here. Look at the volume up here. It's been pretty good, pretty expansive, and it's holding up nicely. It's not drifting lower. And your technical buy point here is 69.08 on Starbucks. But keep this on your watch list for whatever reason yesterday they sold it. I don't know why. Earnings came out, they beat estimates, they beat everything, and then now we're a little bit higher today. That's so weird. You don't see that too often, a major reaction just before the close. Usually if that happens, it's some insider knowledge. Maybe two whales or hedge funds or institutions were playing with each other, and one got scared and sold and the other bought it up. Who knows? But anyway, Starbucks holding higher here this morning. If you can get over the high here, and again, your traditional breakout point here at 69.08, that would be really, really good. In fact, I'm going to put an alert here right there for Starbucks. See if it can get above that on some good earnings announcement. The market's looking good. We're back into an uptrend, so you can take new positions, and this could potentially be one to take if you're looking into that. So it's up pretty good on my list today. After the move yesterday too. But actually, if you look at a majority of where it was yesterday, it's probably not up as much. Let's say it closed in the median range. It'd only be up 2.5%, but it looks good at 3.82% because it had this big move lower. Now, you see on the daily, it closed up really towards the middle of this range. Right, there's quite a bit of price action there. They just bought up. They bought it there, and it's maintained elevated levels ever since. Now, this shaded area, this is the aftermarket session. If you're not aware of the aftermarket session, you have to use limit orders, and so you'll occasionally get these weird spikes like this. Someone had a weird order go in or something, and they took a couple shares down there before bringing it back up. So Starbucks looking pretty good right there. What else we got looking pretty good? Let's go to the top again from the bottom down. Weibo looks like they're coming up here this morning. I don't know if I want to look at a 5-minute chart of everything I pull up. Get a brain hemorrhage. BITA, CGC, another MJ stock. Look at that, from 1 up to $50 in just a few years. 1, 2, 3. That's crazy, man. That's so crazy. I will say this about CGC: it's been one of the better performing MJ stocks coming out of last year. One of the better ones. We know Tilray had a crazy run, but this thing seems to be sustained over several years. That's a nice trend. Looks like Grub getting a little bit of love today. Puts in kind of a weird head and shoulders pattern. And a trend line like that with earnings coming up in, looks like 2 weeks. Earnings coming up in 2 weeks for Grub. EDU. We actually talked about these Chinese stocks coming out of these lows. I don't think we've revisited this much lately. Earnings came out the other day, and then boom, now we're just rocketing higher through this level, already up like 18%. So that's really good in EDU. Too extended to get involved here. You're going to have to wait for a base of some kind. Carr and Hertz both up here, about 4.5%, give or take. Twitter coming up a little bit more today, up about 4.25%. Earnings also in 2 weeks. And NASDAQ just broke the high of the day here a little bit ago. Micron Technology, we discussed them yesterday, trying to break this trend line. So far gapping up. Manitowoc, Starbucks, which we just looked at, Momo, WLL. Remember Whiting Petroleum holding nice and tight? Well, that didn't stay. This is why you exit positions. Even if you take a loss, no big deal. Look at that accumulation on the right side of this low. Look at that. Wow. That is big accumulation on Whiting Petroleum's part. I'm sure if I were to go to use my volume aggregation tool that I have, which I don't use super often on stocks, but when something needs to be looked at, something needs to be looked at. Is it up here? Where is it? Where's WLL? Okay. Guess we'll just go right to the source here.
It ran away.
Yes, it did, James. Thank you. So look at Whiting Petroleum. This is a volume aggregation tool. I developed this for cryptos, and I apply it to stocks every once in a while. So the green implies elevated buying. The red implies elevated selling. And you can see here, and this is on a 2-hour chart. We'll go to the daily here in a second. Even on the 2-hour, look at the shift right at that low. Right at that low, you got elevated buying, and now you have, and look at the selling it all the way down to 0. Look at that 0 mark. Very, very rare that occurs. Now some selling has come back, and looks like buying is kind of maintaining a steady pressure. Let's go to the daily. And yep, look at right there. So right that low, all the selling stopped, all the buying started, and boom, there you go. So Whiting looking pretty good. Look at here, all the way up here. You had this VA tool showing you good action in this stock. Even right there when the selling stopped, and even when the VA crossed right there, you were still up a tremendous amount if you bought down here. So good look there in Whiting Petroleum. Since we're here, let's use this tool on a couple other stocks. We have Twitter, a little mixed. Let's see if we get any indication by the VA tool what's been going on. So obviously had the larger pump here, and then big selling, mixed with a little bit of selling, higher selling. Now the buying has been elevated again, and we just have to see if it maintains. So nothing super big right there with Twitter. What's another one? Square. Square's been acting excellent. I'm assuming Square's really green. Yep, really green since those lows there, right there. So that's when the shift occurred. That's where the selling peaked and has drifted off, and the buying has remained high ever since. Square has just been dominating in terms of volume performance. Looking really good right there. What's another one? Let's look at Facebook. We'll see if we can garner any input on Facebook. Maybe, maybe not. So we got a low here, and on the low here, everything's a little elevated. Buying's been elevated for a little bit here, actually. Selling more elevated. Now it seems like we've been chopping around. Now we're moving the ties around. The buying's kind of overtaken the selling, but it's not completely clear yet. We have the selling waning off, or the buying waning off, and the selling maintaining. So Facebook, not a very clear picture. Netflix, which just had a huge run. So there's the low for Netflix, and it immediately shifted from buying to selling. And now the selling came back a little bit. Buying's drifting off and coming back to an equilibrium at some point. Luckily, we're holding higher within that equilibrium. Could have a nice little flag or pattern to buy in the near future here on Netflix. What else should we look at? NASDAQ going for it, guys. NASDAQ going for it. Speaking of which, I was going to do something yesterday. I did not. How's the volume looking? Okay. We're at 8 o'clock right now. Yesterday, that was about 8 o'clock. A little bit higher volume yesterday. We were pretty choppy as well. Your tummy's hungry. Oh, okay. That's fine. Let's look at INSG. Looks like it pulled back a little bit. It was up about 2% earlier, I believe. Good low volume down here. We ran down low volume. We'll see if that low volume continues or it runs up. Team, which also pulled back. Looks like it's coming up healthily. GWOU. Paycom, another one we've been following. Look at how many green days in a row here on Paycom. It's really nice. Now this is where the VA tool comes into play, as a matter of fact. Let's look at Paycom. Not saying it's going to look bad, but probably won't look as good as I think it does. So there you can see the difference in Paycom and the volume aggregation tool. It looks really nice, and it is, but the buying's a little bit muted. It's a little bit muted. We haven't quite reached the buying pressure of this area, and obviously of this area. So we're still kind of feeling our way through this market here on Paycom. Looks like maybe trying to break that volume decline. That would be positive for Paycom. Oh, 8:12. All right, guys, I got to run. Having too much fun here. I'll see you guys on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel, hopefully a little bit earlier. But yeah, I got to run. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend.